Hi guys, I've had quite a few people ask me questions about birth, especially when they found out that I had two drug-free natural home births and it was the best decision I've ever made. For me, the issue is not, who should have what and do what. Like everybody should have home births is definitely the last thing you're going to hear me say. But for me, the biggest and most important thing in my heart, I mean, this is like close to my heart, is that my desire is that every woman gets to birth feeling powerful, capable, in a safe environment where she has control over her own bodies and where she's not afraid. It like really hurts my heart when I see so many women, which is almost everybody, talk about birth as if it's the most terrifying, scary experience ever. And we'll talk about why I believe that's happening. I don't believe birth itself is the problem. I think the way we birth in this country does a lot to add to that issue. So I kind of just want to talk about birth in America and just give you some information. When I was pregnant with my first child, kind of just give you a little background about how I got to where I am and what made me study this stuff. When I was pregnant with my first child, I was pregnant and I was like, okay, this person is going to have to come out of me. So I was like, let me start watching videos and preparing myself for the drama. So I turned to YouTube and pulled up some videos, and the first few videos were all hospital births. And I kept watching and I found myself feeling so discouraged and just overwhelmed because they were always these dramatic, scary experiences where women are screaming, blood is shooting everywhere. And I just had a hard time wrapping my mind around how birth could be so horrible. I was just like, for real, is this really possible that this is this bad? And what I found out is, at the time, I just something about it didn't feel right. It just did not feel right that birth could be that horrible. And as I was continuing to look at videos, I was like, man, somebody got to have a nice, wonderful birth because I plan on it. I don't care what I have to. But when I kept looking and a home birth popped up in the, related videos. And I was like, home birth. And, at the time, I was like, what kind of foolishness is this? Or, you think backwaters in the corner, grandma catching your baby. And because that's what we're made to believe in this day and time is that, uneducated people do that. Even though today, actually, more highly educated middle class women are the ones that are doing home births lately. But yeah, that's what I thought. So I'm like, home birth, what is this? And so I pressed on it and I just thought I was going to pass out because I was watching it and this woman was not screaming. She was not crying. It was not dramatic. It was a peaceful environment. The lights were dim. You can tell her spouse was supporting her through it. There was no, doctors back and forth, nurses telling you what to do, machines weren't beeping. It was just a peaceful experience. And that just blew my mind. I just was like, I wasn't ready to say I'm gonna have a home birth. But I was like, I really, really, really want to know more about this whole process. Like what is going on, or just how does it work? So the overarching issue, and that's, that was my experience, and I still did not decide to have a home birth until a family friend who worked in a hospital was just kind of saying how a lot of times hospitals do very unnecessary procedures on women or give them drugs they really shouldn't have. And she said, and she's a nurse, and she was just like, if I have a birth, I'm doing it at home. And I was like, really? So then I just got too curious, and I went ahead to meet a midwife that does home births, and I ended up doing a home birth. And literally, when I say it was the best thing that ever happened to me, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. It was that peaceful, serene experience is exactly what I had. I mean, I walked by the lake. I mean, it was enjoyable. I literally enjoyed my birth. And so for me, given that I had the experience, I know it's very possible, but I rarely hear any other women talk about birth this way. So what's really going on with birth in America? The overarching issue in America is that we see birth and pregnancy as an illness. We treat it as if something's wrong with women. We treat it like, I mean, we're doing it, for one, we're doing it in the hospital. We're doing it where people get sick. So we're telling women that this is something that needs to be medically controlled. It's not natural and normal. So the second we start seeing it that way, that's when we're going to start to have some difficulties in our outcomes. Again, we have the worst infant mortality rate of developed countries. We have a worse maternal mortality rate than 40 other countries. So something's really not going right. I mean, we're not doing it perfectly well. So what are some of the things that we're doing wrong?